Hi, everybody. So today is my first commentary show on all things writing that pertains to indie authors. So bear with me. I've got my script. My name is Amy. I am the host of Indie Authors. And today we will be talking about Prince Harry. So why? Why are we talking about Prince Harry? Well, in recent days, he has found himself in a lot of hot water again for his memoir and the subsequent marketing of said memoir. So unless you completely avoid the media or are, living on an island that has absolutely no connection to the outside world, you have probably heard about Prince Harry's book, Spare. And it came out, I think, right around, I think it was in the new year or perhaps for Christmas. That would have made actually a lot more sense because it would have been a real hot topic and a real hot gift for Christmas. Anyway, should have probably look that up. But anyway, it came out, and as a result, it's been a little bit polarizing. So it's been touted as a landmark publication for its insight and the theme of power of love over grief, which I'm not denying that he has a lot of tragedy in his life. But like I said, it's certainly polarizing. So some have walked away with the opinion that he is just a poor little rich boy who is completely out of touch of reality for the common person. And others have lauded him as a champion, a survivor, and a renegade. So I'm not here to comment on any of that. And also, full disclosure, I haven't read it. So I can't comment on the style, I can't comment on the content, and I can't provide any more details than what I've gleaned from media and YouTubers like. So what I am going to be talking about is why am I focusing on him on a channel that has to do with indie authors. And this is why. Well, it's because it serves a valuable lesson to those who want to maybe write a memoir and what not to do about writing said memoir. So it goes without saying that most memoir writers will not be born into a royal family, and they will not receive $20 million in advance for their story. So sorry to tell you that if I've burst any bubbles, but many will be faced with how much information is too much information to include in their story, and if their story will land them in any hot water. So let's look at this. So we can use Harry as a gleaming example of maybe taking, I don't know, you can comment down below if you think that he was taking brave and giant leaps to tell his whole truth, or if you think maybe it was inappropriate and somebody should have reined some of the material back in. So like I said, or maybe I didn't, because I can't remember because I have zero short-term memory at the moment. So every memoir course or a guide that you purchase or read online will always say that you have to be honest. So again, how much honesty is too much? Well, let's look at this. So Harry, number one, when he admitted to killing 25 Taliban fighters and that he only saw them as chess pieces or had been trained to, like, I don't want to put words into his mouth here, perhaps it was a clumsy metaphor. Maybe he thought it was clever, but what happened? So his honesty about how he felt about those Taliban fighters has led high-level British Army commanders to denounce Harry and his words and his ties to the military. So retired commanding officer, I'm looking down because I got to get this right, Colonel Tim Collins was quoted by the BBC on January 6, 2023 as saying that Harry's statement was a turn against his military family. So he came out publicly and he did that. That's how strongly he felt about the situation. And when speaking to Forces News, Colonel Collins insisted that Harry's behavior is not how you behave in the army. It is not how we, the military, think. He has badly let the side down. We, the military again, don't do notches on the rifle butt. We never did, military, not me. And that Harry has now turned against the other family, the military, that once embraced him. So again, this is one man's opinion, but it's a pretty strong denouncement, public denouncement. But as the news cycle always does, Harry went on, it went on. Harry went to the background again, was able to continue to do interview after interview to publicize his book, even though he didn't need it, because I just read that it is on the Guinness Book World Records of the highest selling new release. I think it sold 1.4 million, probably more now, because this is now March. And he published it whenever he did. I'll put it somewhere. Anyway. But guess what? He's not out of hot water yet. So again, approximately 48 hours ago. And if you're watching this in the future, I'm going to give you some reference points. So I would say between March 21st, March 22nd, today is March 23rd of 2023, a conservative group in the States has called for a review of Harry's visa application after he freely discussed his drug use in both his books and in his interviews. And that's fine. He's spreading the word about psilocybin, and ayahuasca as healing tools. And there's a lot of research that's coming up in this. Dr. Gabor, oh man, you guys know my memory is terrible. I'll put him in here too. Why can't I remember anyone's name? Anyway, maybe I need some ayahuasca. I don't know. Please don't ban me, YouTube, for saying such a thing. But anyway, so as he was admitting to ayahuasca, he was also admitting to cocaine use and cannabis, which if you declare that on the visa application to get into the States, it may disqualify you. And if you don't declare it and then you come out later publicly and talk about your use, it can land you in a lot of hot water. And so we know that fellow Brits, Nigella Lawson, I hope that's her last name. Oh, again, what? She's the celebrity chef and lovely. Not that I know her, but she appears to be lovely. And the late, great departed Amy Winehouse, they were both like, nope, can't do it, bye. So I'm not going to go into the minutia of the laws because, again, I don't know anything about them, but I do know that, like I said, if he didn't disclose this, what is he up against? He could be barred from U.S. citizenship, which is complicated because his kids, I believe, are U.S. citizens, as is his wife, and he could also face deportation. And that's not the word, deportation. Sorry. So if people are like, what's deportation? It's actually Amy speak for deportation, so go with it. Now, let's bring this back to the writing. So my beloved late stepfather, Norman, always told me to never put anything in writing that can come back in the future to bite you in the ass. And that was sound advice that demands introspection and critical thinking be applied when you're writing a memoir or you're committing anything that could get you into some sort of trouble in the future. So yes, you want your storytelling to be honest, you want it to be true, but you also don't want to end up in a situation where maybe you are subject to allegations or investigations of either, I don't know, the legal kind is the best, or maybe it's just, an armchair detective doing some work and contacting friends and family and besmirching your name. So you don't want to leave yourself open to that, unless, of course, that is the goal of your memoir. And then, by all means, do whatever the heck you want. But I'm 99.5% sure, because I don't want Harry to contact me and say you're completely wrong. Unless, of course, he wants to be on the show and talk about his writing experience, which I doubt will ever happen. But I'm sure that he did not want to alienate his military family. It certainly seemed like maybe he wanted to push some buttons in his familial, like a genetically genetically linked family members and those around him in the royal court. Nor do I think he wanted to chance any legal complications that would impact where he can reside with the content of his book. So again, this brings us back to the obvious question. Why am I talking about this? Well, how do we avoid it? That's what I'm trying to impart upon you. So ways to avoid these tricky situations when you're writing a story that's based on truth. It goes for autobiography, creative nonfiction, a little bit, but definitely nonfiction, such as memoir, that you want to get feedback from your beta readers, from your editors, and if it's necessary, and if you have something in there that you're not sure about, run it by a lawyer, particularly like the lawyer that lives in your country, to see if you have potentially committed any crimes that you're admitting to in your story. And it's impossible to predict the outcomes of your words, right? Like, you don't know how the readers are going to receive it. Clearly, Harry thought that nobody would think poorly of him, that he would gain a lot of sympathy, whereas he's, probably 50-50. People, 50% say, yeah, we feel really bad for him, and the other 50% say, oh, go cry me a river there, Harry. So you can't control that. Absolutely. And you can't control or predict, excuse me, the various outcomes that are going to affect you as the writer, because once your words are out there, you can't really bring them back in. All you can do is offer explanations or do some troubleshooting. So on those 2 points, there's not a lot you can do, but what you can do before publication is review the book to lessen the chance of these things, right? So you want to lessen, obviously, the chance of legal trouble, family fallout with those in your family that you love and admire, and tarnishing reputation. So that's a big one, right? And by doing so, and thinking about these things critically, you may be like, well, it's not that great a story. So these are the things that you have to do when you're reviewing your work. You have to read objectively and ask yourself really hard questions. So one of them is, am I writing this out of spite? What is the aim of me writing this, of me producing this work? And if it's out of spite, maybe just put it aside, think about it, get some feedback, or maybe this is, again, the intention of your project, and by all means, go for it. But if you are writing from a place of anger, maybe just hold on until you can look at it objectively before you hit publish on whatever publishing service that you're using. Also, is this sensationalized? So the truth is the truth, but have you sensationalized it in some way? Have you made it bigger? Have you added hyperbole? Have you, I don't know, made it into a bigger deal than what it is to get a response of some sort? And is this the intent that you had written this with? So that's another good question. And another one, and this one's important, is to think, how would I take this if I were reading this as an outsider and this wasn't my personal life or my personal experiences? So yeah, you don't want to kneecap yourself or your self-expression by putting yourself into the reader's position, but it's important, because if you change your hat from writer to reading hat, then you will be able to pick up on a lot of things that you're like, oh, no, that shouldn't be there. So another tip, besides being honest for memoir writing, is to think like your reader. So try to imagine you as a reader reading this. What are your reactions going to be? What are you going to think of the writer? Are they going to, are the scenes or whatever, the descriptions going to cast you in a good light, bad light? How is it going to be? But just try to think of things as if you're the reader in that situation. It takes practice, but you can do it. I have faith. So if we can take anything away from Harry's experience, it is this: the intent of a memoir can backfire 100%, and anything you write in your story can be used against you. So going into something with that already in the back of your mind, in your writer's eye, will help guide you with your decision making on what you want to include, what you don't want to include. Ultimately, it's up to you. It's up to you how you manage whatever the fallout is. But these are just sort of general guidelines for you, because we are watching it happen in real time, unless this is being watched 5 years down the road, and who knows what's going to happen between then and now in terms of Harry, if he's been deported. I hope not. That would be quite tragic, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. And in this day and age of social media, I mean, people have a lot of access to information that they never did. And so people are finding themselves in more and more hot water. And I've used that expression 100 times. I'm not supposed to use cliches, but there you go, because I can't think of a better expression to explain what's going on. I mean, it certainly is helping. All of these reports coming out are certainly helping drive sales of his book and interest. It keeps bringing him back into the public eye. Maybe it's a strategy. Maybe he has a really great sort of marketing team that's like, okay, what else can we get out of this that can get you back into the news cycle and make your book relevant? Because again, another thing with this day and age is that, you know, not everybody is a Colleen Hoover who is dominating the bestseller list for months and months and months. Others have, like, it goes in peaks and valleys, right? So anyway, what is your opinion? I want to hear. Please comment down below. What do you think of Spare? Have you read it? Are you going to read it? Do you say yes, it's a great book? Do you say no, it's a bad book? What are your thoughts on that? Also, what are your thoughts on Harry and the critics that seemingly want to take him down? Is it warranted? Is it out of spite? What is happening? Again, I'm not putting my thoughts down on video here or expressing anything. I want to know what your thoughts are on the topic. And what about on writing memoirs? Are you planning on doing it? Have you done it? Advice? There's tons of other tips, of course, on memoir, and I'll add some in the description. And maybe you have others that are new and avant-garde and you want to share it. So this is the beauty of creativity. You can change things all the time and add your own spin. So please, please comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe, because I've been noticing that I think 70% of viewers are not subscribed. And I think that might be on me. So please, if you like my content and you want to interact more, and let me know, was this a video that you enjoy or not? And thanks for watching. Yeah, signing off.